You have been solving SAT math wrong. Stop writing for everything. These questions look terrifying, right? Most students see this and immediately start a 5-minute long algebra marathon. Meanwhile, I'm like, what if we just look at the graph instead? The SAT isn't asking to show perfect steps. It's asking whether you can find the answer efficiently. So here's the plan. No notebook, no shortcuts, just logic and Desmos. And trust me, after I show these Desmos hacks to my students, they come back and ask me, is this even legal? Alright, so let's move to question number 1. The first question is around functions. We are given f of x is equal to x plus 16 over 5 and we are given f of a is equal to negative 19. Now with function related questions, the thing to realize is Desmos fully understands the function notation. So all you got to do is everything that you see on the question, just go and put it back on Desmos. We know f of x is equal to x plus 16 over 5 and we also know f of a is equal to minus 19. Now a lot of people worry, how can I write a on Desmos? You absolutely can write any constants. Now this is somewhat helpful but does not give us the direct answer. How do we get a direct answer? Anytime you have something missing but there's a lot of information that you have already put in, you can simply replace the equal to sign with a tilde. And all the math you would have otherwise done, Desmos does all that on behalf of you and tells you, hey, the value of a needs to be negative 111. So that's it. We see that negative 111, which is option A, is our right answer. Let's look at question number 2. This is a quadratic function. How do we know that? The question says it's a quadratic function. Anytime you notice the kind of function and then you see a few points given to you, and then whatever the question is asking you to do, recognize you will need to know the function. Whether it's linear, exponential, quadratic, you will need to know the function. Okay, so how do we know the function? Anytime you have points thrown at you, we're going to use Desmos. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to pull up the table. Right? How does table helps us? It helps us put in the points that are given in the question. So let's do that. 1, 9, and the next one is 2, 32. And the last one is negative 1, 101. All right, let me just check. Yeah, so these are the 3 points. Now they look like this, and there is supposed to be a quadratic function that passes through them. Okay, so how do we figure out that function? One of the ways is if you go to this button, you see an add regression, something this looks a bit like a musical note. You see an add regression, click on it. Now, right now, Desmos tries to fit a line, but that's not what we want. We want a quadratic. So we go to the drop-down menu, choose quadratic, and we have a quadratic. It passes through all of these 3 points. You can see all the 3 red points that were marked. It passes through that. Good. Now we have the quadratic function, but we need to calculate this. Desmos still doesn't know what f of x is, right? So it's incumbent on us to explain what f of x is. So let's do that very quickly. F of x is equal to this whole thing. I'm just going to write it down, 23x square. Note that I'm just writing this thing down, right? So 23x square minus 46x plus 32. I'm just writing that down. You can copy paste, but you can't do that on the exam. Okay. Now Desmos also knows the function. Now the last thing that we need to do is just ask it for the answer. So we need to figure out f of negative 2 minus f of 0. Let's see. It tells me it's 184. That matches with option C, and that is indeed the right answer. This next question is interesting. Now you may have seen 2 unknowns and 2 equations, and you probably know how to do it on Desmos. Just plot the 2 lines and the intersection is the answer. But in questions like these, you have 3 unknowns. You have a, b, and n, and you just have 2 equations. So how do we even solve this for us? All right, so this is how we do it. We use square brackets with a tilde sign. Basically, we are asking it to help us out, figure out some of these values. Okay, so I'm going to say 2a over b is the same as 6.5. So I'm going to write this here. Okay, but I don't know just one relationship. I know 2 of them. So why don't I write both of them? The second relationship is a over bn is equal to 26. Okay, so this is the notation in which I can write both of them. And now it tells me n is 0.125. It also gives me a value of a and b. Note that these aren't like definite values of a and b, but for certain values of a and b, n is this, but n is always going to be this whether a and b change or not, right? That's why the question only asks for the value of n. Okay, so once you have the value of n, you can confidently go and answer that. If you want to answer in decimal, good. If you recognize this is 1 by 8, you can see that. Or if you did not, if it's a non-recurring decimal, what you can do is 0.125, click on this button, you see that this is 1 over 8. Let's do question 4. Now this is a percentage question and most people are not going to use Desmos for it. But you can, because it is basically giving us a lot of relationships. I definitely see 3 unknowns, h, j and k, and maybe a few other things. There seems to be one relationship here, right, and another one here, and they want something. All right, so we are going to use all of this information, just put it on Desmos, and let's see if Desmos can answer it for us. Once again, because we have relationships and multiple of them, we are going to use the square bracket thing. All right, so the first one is 15% of h is equivalent to 20% of j. I'm not even going to change the language. I'm just going to write 15% of h is the same as 20% of j, right? So I'm not doing anything else. I'm just copying what the question said. So I know I'm not doing any simplification, so I will not be making a mistake. Then the second equation or relationship is j is the same as 60% of k. So I'm just going to write that down, 60% of k. Now what do we need to know? We need to figure out what percent of k is h. Sentences like these or questions like these, you have to interpret it as x percent of k is h, or x percent of k is equal to h. All right. So this is also an inequality where x is something that's unknown and we need to eventually figure out x, right? What percentage think x percent of k? You have another relationship. All right, so I'm just going to put this back. X, and you can't use x because that's a variable, so let's use x1%. X1%, let me do that, x1% of k, and the third thing here is h. All right, Desmos did all the math and figured out x1, which is what percentage of k is 1, x1 percentage of k is what percentage of k is h, x1 percentage of k is h, and x1 is 80, right? So that's the answer. X1 is 80, or 80% of k is equal to h. So notice how when you have a lot of these things, you can simply pull up Desmos, put everything, right? That's what we did. We just use the square bracket with tilde. First relationship, 15% of h is same as 20% of j. Second relationship, j is equivalent to 60% of k. And third is x1% of k is equal to h. You put everything, it'll just solve and give you all the values. Okay, so this is probably the hardest question. This is question 5. Now this has way too many unknowns. There are 2 ranches, A and B, ratio of male horses to female horses, number of horses on ranch A, ranch B. Okay, so there are at least 4 unknowns. There's ranch A, there's ranch B, and there are male horses, female horses in both of them. So first of all, we are because there are so many unknowns, we can't simply put it on something like a line and figure out an intersection point. What we can do is use the square bracket with tilde. But before we start entering relationships, let's just think of what variables we are going to choose. So let's call the male horses in ranch A A1, and the female horses A2 and B1 and B2. All right, that's all that we need to think. And don't get overwhelmed by questions like these. Just go to Desmos, open Desmos, and put these square brackets and keep writing things as you read. All right, and one sentence at a time. So the first sentence is ratio of male to female horses is 1:15 for total number of horses on ranch A and ranch B. All right, so male horses to female horses is 1:15. And how do we write male to female? So male is A1 plus B1. So A1 plus B1 over A2 plus B2. Okay, that's the first relationship done. Let's write out the second one. Ratio of female horses on ranch A to ranch B is 7:70, right? So female horses are A2 and B2. We know their ratio. So A2 over B2, and we know that ratio to be 7/70. Okay, no hurry, don't get overwhelmed, just keep writing it out. Then we also know there are 168 horses in total on ranch A. So male and female altogether, A1 plus A2 has got to be 168. So A1 plus A2, that is simply 168. Okay, and we know one more thing, which is 344 horses on ranch B. So B1 plus B2 is also given, and that's got to be B1 plus B2 is known to be 344. Okay, no rush, we just put everything. We know what A1 is, A2, B1, B2, got everything. Let's see what the question is asking us. How many more male horses on ranch A than on ranch B? Male horses, we need to figure out A1 minus B1. All right, so we need to figure out A1 minus B1, and that's simple. A1 is 28 and B1 is 4, right? So we simply need to figure out 28 minus 4 or 24. That's your answer. Okay, so recognize how easy it was to do on Desmos, right? We just needed to figure out A1 minus B1. So in any of these questions, don't rush. It's all about just reading the whole question. Just keep writing out relationships one by one. Even if you have a lot of unknowns, just keep writing it out on Desmos, just like I did here. Let's look at it again, and it will give you the answer. It will tell you every unknown on the question. If you get overwhelmed, you try to read it. This is not reading comprehension. You don't want to read this question 10 times. Recognize there are too many unknowns. Just name them, keep writing it out, and get to the answer. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more such videos. Thank you. Bye.